Welcome to the Movie Spoiler Club, the channel where you can watch movie, television, and streaming series within minutes. Today we're going to spoil the movie Gangster Squad, 2013. This movie story plot is about ruthless Brooklyn-born mobster Mickey Cohen, Sean Penn, has 1949 Los Angeles in an iron fist. As he accumulates a fortune from drugs, prostitution, and gambling, Cohen has an army of paid goons at his disposal. But he also has certain policemen and politicians in his pocket. It's enough to intimidate even the bravest cop. Until Los Angeles Police Department mavericks, Sergeant John O'Mara, Josh Brolin, and Jerry Wooters, Ryan Gosling, form a secret crew to bring Cohen to justice. Gangster Squad is based on a true story about Mickey Cohen, a mob boss based in LA in 1949. This story opens up on a warm California night. Mickey Cohen stands over a man lying on the ground, chained up and bloody from a fight. Despite being tied up, he refuses to appear weak. Cohen grows tired of the act and the misbehavior. He signals to the sides of him, and the sound of engines starts to pull the chains that are tied to the man. The cars begin to stretch the man in opposite directions, the coyotes waiting just beyond the headlights. When the threat fails to faze him, Cohen lets the coyotes have him. The two cars restart their engines and drive until the man is ripped in two. The coyotes get to have what's left. In the next shot, the LA sun streams in through the windows of a Union train station. There's a woman minding her own business when she is approached by a man. He begins to flatter her and lets her know they are doing auditions for some show. The woman is blushing so hard she agrees to follow him to the interview. In the distance there's a detective, Sergeant O'Mara. O'Mara watches the two leave the station and head towards the hotel nearby. He is suspicious and decides to follow them. His partner reminds him that this is Cohen's territory and there's no point in pursuing this lead. The man and woman proceed to the elevator and walk through the halls. The woman is growing unsure as they walk the dimly lit halls. The man gestures to the door. When it opens, it's just a couple of men inside. She hesitates and resists entering, but the man shoves her inside. Sergeant O'Mara makes it to the elevator with few other guys. They seem suspicious of O'Mara, get a glance at his handcuffs. This incites a fight inside the lift. When the elevator reaches its desired floor, O'Mara steps out and walks briskly to find the room where the man has taken the woman. Inside the hotel room, the woman has been tied up to the bed. The men huddle around her. One jumps on top and begins tugging at her clothes. When there's a knock on the door, they threaten her life. They fold her up into the Murphy bed before they answer the door. The men go to the door, but it bursts open before they can open it. The men are prepared for a fight. O'Mara pulls out his finger in the shape of a gun and says bang. The guys snicker and grin, but then one man whips out his straight razor and moves in for an attack. O'Mara is a trained professional. He takes on all four of the men, and then he finds the woman. When he brings them downtown to get booked at a police station, the chief is unhappy. The police chief lectures O'Mara on the rules in the city. The men go home free without charges. When O'Mara heads home that evening, he meets his wife sitting in the living room reading a book. He drudges through the door from a long and disappointing day at work. His wife Connie greets him warmly, and when she stands, her bulging belly is obvious. The couple will be expecting soon. Jerry meets Jack at a restaurant. Their table goes over the main players in LA, including Mickey Cohen, Grace Faraday his lover, Rick the judge, and the police chief. Jerry is distracted by Miss Grace Faraday's fiery red hair and doe eyes. When Grace leaves the table, Jerry finds an excuse to meet her and introduce himself. The two have an instant connection, but this is a dangerous affair. The next day at work, O'Mara is called into the chief's office. He wants to pull O'Mara off the force so that he can go undercover to run Cohen out of the city. O'Mara has to assemble a team of experts to accompany him on this mission. When he goes home to tell his wife, she is devastated. The two talk it over, and by morning Connie is putting the team together. The team consists of O'Mara, Kenwell Keeler, the Brain, Coleman Harris, the Brawn, Max Kennard, the gun hand, and his partner, Navidad Ramirez. Later on, O'Mara heads to a strip club to see his associate from work, Jerry Wooters. At the strip club, Jerry explains that the war is over. They don't need to fight anymore. O'Mara has to learn who's who and what's what. O'Mara wants Jerry to be in his team, but he passes. Maybe he passes because he has stricken up a deadly relationship with Cohen's lover. The two have already shared a night or two together. The team is assembled and ready for their first hit on Cohen. They are all headed to Burbank Casino. When they arrive, they bust in with guns blazing. This becomes a problem for the cops that are already at the casino enjoying the night. The police in uniform don't recognize the undercover men, and the two groups shoot at each other. The team of misfits bolts for the door. O'Mara and Harris get pinched. They are interrogated by Mickey Cohen's corrupted police officers and thrown into jail. Meanwhile, outside the nightclub, Jerry is getting a shoe shine from a local boy in the neighborhood. As he has his eyes on the surroundings, he becomes suspicious of some activity. There's a man with a deadly stare in his gaze. Jerry interrupts the boy shining his shoes and tells him to go home. When Jerry gets up, the man whips out a gun and goes on a shooting spree. The boy never makes it home. The bullet finds him first. Jerry cradles the boy in his hands. He sets the boy on the ground to rest and reaches for his weapon. He shoots one of the shooters and wounds him. Jerry approaches and grabs the shotgun and shoots him again. Then he turns towards the club where Mickey and Grace are lounging. Grace can see Jerry coming towards them, but Cohen's back is turned. Jerry takes another step, but Jack pushes him out of the way before he makes a stupid move. Back at the jail, the remaining misfits make an attempt to break out O'Mara and Harris. Jerry decides he needs to help O'Mara and makes his way to Burbank Police Station. He walks in and impersonates as one of Cohen's men. The police officers escort him to their cell. When two of Cohen's actual men arrive to grab the prisoners, the remaining guard knows someone is tricking them. It's too late. The misfits take off with Jerry in the driver's seat. The team continues to train and plan their next moves. When the group decides to plant a bug in Cohen's home, they start receiving juicy information. They find out there's a shipment going out of Burbank Airport. The gangsters sense they're being followed and try to lose the extra baggage. The situation escalates into a full-blown car chase. One car flips over, and another is blown up by a bomb. The undercover team runs the shipment off the road. When some of the remaining members of Cohen's gang have to tell Mickey Cohen that the shipment was hit, Mickey remains calm. These things happen. No one is perfect. But Mickey Cohen doesn't like mistakes. He is the man murdered. The undercover team is working hard on Cohen, and O'Mara wants to use Grace to get him good. Jerry refuses to bring Grace into their mission. It's far too dangerous. Later, the two are having breakfast together and things are tense. Jerry is jealous of Mickey Cohen because he wants Grace all to himself. Grace is upset because Jerry told her he was a Bible salesman, but he is actually a cop. She is now more worried than ever that Mickey will find out about their relationship, and they'll both be murdered. That night, O'Mara and his team set off to the Mickey Cohen's nightclub. They successfully burn all the money in his main operations. When the police show up and tell Mickey that no money was actually stolen, Mickey comes to the realization that these guys are cops. Mickey loses his temper and starts beating up the cop for his anger. While O'Mara and the guys celebrate their victory, Mickey Cohen continues to go ballistic and searches his house for a bug. He has a sinking suspicion that someone is listening to him, and he is going to figure out who. The tension grows so violent that the maid ushers Grace to leave for her own safety. The team finds out there's going to be a shipment out of a laundry truck in Chinatown. Everyone prepares for the big night, but they don't know that Mickey is onto them and their gang. Grace meets Jerry at a restaurant, but the meeting is not very discreet. She tries to explain that she isn't safe and neither is he, but two men interrupt their conversation. Grace immediately feels unsafe. Jerry spins around and hitting them in the head with the butt of his gun. He finds a vial of acid which he assumes was for Grace. Jerry dumps the acid contents onto the man's pants. He screams in agony. Jerry and Grace leave the restaurant and head for Jack's house. He asks Jack to help her get out of town quickly. Jack agrees without complaint or question. In Chinatown, O'Mara sweeps the streets watching for a deco laundry truck. The truck arrives and is soon followed by some other black vehicles. The streets are quite busy this time of night. People are shopping and the sounds of firecrackers popping under footsteps can be heard in the distance. The laundry van opens a valve that releases some kind of inflammable liquid from underneath the vehicle. Revok walking by with a lit cigarette, and he throws the end onto the pavement, and the whole truck goes up in flames. This incites a gunfight, and bullets start flying. Revok has a Tommy gun in each arm as he fires away blindly across the street. He turns to hop on a getaway car before anyone can shoot him. At this moment, O'Mara realizes that the only one they left behind is the only one susceptible to an attack. The team rushes back to their headquarters to save Keeler. Keeler is already dead. The gangsters murdered Keeler, then drove to O'Mara's home and fired round after round of bullets into the walls and windows where his pregnant wife was sleeping. Fortunately, she was unharmed and made it to the bathtub in time. When O'Mara returns to his home, he is relieved to find his wife alive with their newborn baby boy in her arms. Mickey can't find Grace, so he goes looking for her at Jack's house. Jack tries to cover for Grace, but Cohen is on a rampage and murders Jack in cold blood. While Grace hides in the bushes, she makes a run for it and lays low. The press is ripping the police chief apart in the news and has been formally requested him to resign from his duties. This also means that Omar is relieved from his undercover duty with Cohen. He is forced to admit defeat. Omar goes home to sulk but is soon joined by Jerry. The two share a drink, and then Grace shows up in a cab. Jerry is happy to see her. The two hug and then Grace offers to be a witness to testify against Cohen. Cohen is staying at the hotel for his own safety. The undercover team reunites for one last hit on Cohen. This time they will be smarter, stronger, and faster. The team storms the lobby, blowing past all the security. Word gets to Cohen that there are men trying to breach security, but he isn't going to worry. It isn't until Omar and Jerry are climbing the staircase that Cohen begins to sweat. Omar and Jerry call for Cohen. Cohen waits and then springs out with his gun. Here comes Santa Claus. The three of them fire at each other from across the way, shattering Christmas tree ornaments and lights on the way. The fight travels from the hotel to their getaway cars. Omar and Cohen fistfight on the road after the car accidentally hits a fountain. The two duke it out, punch for punch. Omar lands a punch on Cohen, and he falls to the ground. Mickey is sent away to Alcatraz, thanks to Grace Faraday's testimony. Grace and Jerry fall in love and find happiness together. Omar chucks his badge in the ocean, leaves the force, and finds his family. He seems like he might finally be done fighting. Movie trivia. Do you know that in the movie, the Gangster Squad is assembled to go after Mickey Cohen? However, in real life, Chief Parker set up the squad to prevent other gangsters from taking over Cohen's rackets. After Cohen went to prison on income tax evasion, whenever the squad learned that out-of-town gangsters were coming to Los Angeles to try to set up new operations, the Gangster Squad would kidnap them, beat them up, some rumors say torture, and then send them back to wherever they came from with the warning that if they ever returned, they would be killed. This movie gets the movie rating of 6.7 from IMDb, Tomatometer rating of 31 and audience score of 57 from Rotten Tomatoes. Thank you for watching and be sure to hit like, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments section, and hit the notification bell for the new movie spoiler video every week.